Okay, so I would like to start doing this thing where I document my thoughts as they show up on a weekly basis. Um, see how long this goes for, because I have a history recently of starting things and not necessarily completing them. But if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. So I I come across a lot in my research on just on any particular time period, and I would like to have a way of sharing that. Sometimes it's about cryptocurrency, sometimes it's on other varied topics. So this is a more general type of document. Documents kind of what's going on in my mind. Um, and so this is where they will be documented. Maybe they will show up in more detail at different places at different times, but going forward, this is a format that I'm gonna entertain about, talking about some of these things. So, yeah, this is the start of it. So, who's gonna be the topic of this? Well, it's gonna be me, my mind, really. We can talk about what it means to be a person. These might get deeply, I guess, philosophical or metaphysical at different points because I've come to develop the mindset that we are much more than the material composition of ourselves. So I will speak about the physical, but I will also speak about the mental. I will speak about the metaphysical during these times. So whenever I start recording, it's like I start getting these things in my throat and like I want to cough and stuff, and it's so weird. So excuse me. Something actually just went down the wrong pipe, so I'm trying to get it up. All right, so sorry about that noise. All right, so what am I going to be talking about? Um, well, the things that stick to my mind over, the prior week. So anything is fair game. Depends on what I'm studying. Depends on what I'm downloading from the void as I describe it at different points. So anything is really fair game. Um, how long are these things gonna run? I don't know. Sometimes they may run, a few minutes. Sometimes they may run an hour or so. This guy is like looking at this thing really funny, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna run, but anything that comes to my mind over the prior week. So where am I getting this stuff? I'm getting it on the internet. I'm searching the internet a lot, um, and so that's where this is coming from. But it also is coming from my mind and how it's interacting with things that I find on the internet. Um, so, for instance, one of the major areas of interest for me recently has been this idea of the network state and and how that is going to play out, as we move forward in time. Um, so yeah, you can look up the network state.com and you'll find the free book there. I think I have a link to it here actually. So yeah, it's the network state. by Balaji Srinivasan. He's the author of it, and just a really exceptional thinker in a general sense. So I highly recommend it. And if you go to this section, the dashboard on the network state, then you can actually find out about, different applications that have been received about various types of network state. So I'm still working through the text itself. The book, The Network State, you can, buy it from different areas. You can get it free online. But I'm really interested in studying more about that and seeing where that takes me. So that's that. So yeah, when I tend to do this, I'm gonna aim to do this once per week. Sometimes I might not. Like for instance, next week I'm probably gonna be out of town, so I would like to get these done on Saturday because that seems to be the mm, quietest day in my schedule at this point. So that's why I decided on Saturday. The other days, just things tend to be going on that make it more challenging to have um, quiet time, at least in my current setting. I suppose I could always move my setting to go somewhere quiet, but if I was just going in sync with my current schedule, this time seems to be, uh, you know, seems like it'll work well for this. So, um, why? I have a lot on my mind. I have a lot that I would like to share. I have a lot that I would like to go over, a lot that I would like to chronicle. Um, and so this is going to give me a space to do that. Um, so let's see. Yeah, so this seems like a good place to start. I don't know where it's going to go. Um, but yeah, so, where to start with all of this? I guess a good question to start off with is, what is the meaning of life? Yeah, let's tackle that question because why not? Just jump right in. I am a self-described introvert, and as such, I just I'd rather go deep. I'd rather go deep to get it started. So why not start off with one of the biggest questions that there is? What is the meaning of life? And I feel like you know this question can be approached on many levels. So, um, what is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? And as I would define it, um, I feel like the simple definition that I would give for life is that it's anti-anthropic. Anthropic. And so, entropy, I don't even know if I spelt it right here because I feel like it's supposed to start with an E. But anyway, entropy is the term that means basically, um, you know, that things tend to move towards disorder. So, things fall apart. Like if you leave, something alone, it tends to degrade. It tends to, fall apart. It tends to, just go into smaller pieces. It doesn't normally accumulate. But life has this property where it accumulates and it organizes. It organizes information, and so I feel like that's really the meaning of life. It's to organize data. It's to organize information, um, and so that's I feel what we're doing here. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of data in whatever system this is that we're interacting with. Um, and the purpose of life is to recognize the order, to order it, to put patterns in it. You think about someone that is not alive or something that is not alive, they tend to degrade. They go back into a state of just potential energy for the various, forms or the various, you know, types of material that compose them. But as things become alive, whether it's a plant, whether it's, animals, whether it's microbes, they tend to take energy and they organize it to get something done. Um, so I feel like that's what I would describe as the simple purpose of life, if we were going with that. Now, you know, once we're moving from that and moving to more, I guess, complicated layers, then we can layer, all sorts of things on that, and we do. So I will, get into some of those. Some of the things that I've been thinking about this past week have to do with what I call thought systems. And so, from what I've observed, it seems like there are different thought systems that we can use as we go throughout our life. So, some people are stuck in a physical thought system. Others might have a metaphysical characteristic to their thought systems. You can have thought systems within thought systems, so like sub thought systems. Um, and I don't really hear a lot of people speak in such a way, but it makes sense to me. And so that's one of the reasons why I would like to present these here, because maybe it would be useful for someone else as well to just help organize thoughts and recognize that they belong in different thought systems. Like I have spent a lot of time considering theological questions and quandaries, um, and just the role that the church, religion, um, philosophy, the education, even, I mean, the role that these things have played in our lives, individually and collectively as humanity, is quite significant. I I consider, you know, like the human body to be a type of hardware, um, and we're running software. So the human body is actually quite advanced. I don't need to tell you this, but it's just my observation that, like, yeah, the human body is extremely advanced because it's hardware in the sense that it exists in three-dimensional reality, but then it's running code that, DNA, that code that it uses to repair itself, to develop, to grow, to interact with life. Like, that's a type of code. But then we're also running a mental software, so it's kind of like we can self upgrade. So we can we can be deliberate about the ways in which we upgrade our mind and upgrade our society, and that is really intense to think about for me. So I'm going to get more into that later, but the whole idea about thought systems layers onto the fact that we're a software enabled hardware construct, um, and we're able to upgrade our mental operating system, with time and effort and you know deliberation. So, um, yeah, these are some of the things that fascinate me, um, and I'd like to go into more detail with these topics as we go forward. So, yeah, um, I tend to come up with terminology to describe characteristics that I have not come across, properly, being described, in my life, in in my in my experience, and so I just yeah, I'm kind of distracted right now because there are some ferrets just being complete psychos in my room. They are attacking each other and anyone else around me at this point. So, kind of distracted by some ferrets at the moment. So, but that's life, right? That's a part of life too. It's kind of random, what it will throw at you. So, yeah, I've come up with this idea called an attention energy unit recently, actually, and I came up with this idea for a few reasons. Um, I don't know that I'm going to go into all of them here, but attention energy units. Maybe I'll start a new sticky note or something. So attention energy units, uh, energy. Yeah, so you can see maybe um, spelling is not my strong suit, but computers will do that for me. Units, um, attention energy units. So an attention energy unit is I don't know where that thing went. I wrote it down and it disappeared. I guess I was supposed to press enter after I did that. I'll try that again. So attention energy unit. Enter. There it goes. All right. So an attention energy unit, as I describe it, is gonna be one of these sub thought systems for me going forward that are gonna be really important because there are people around me, and just in general in our society, like the way that we're interacting with technology right now, it it's a double-edged sword. It's this idea of a double-edged sword. It can be really good on one hand and it can be really bad on the other. And so, what makes the difference, you know, between something being really good or really bad? Like, how do you, identify what direction this or that thing, one of them is coming out. How do you identify whether something is going to be really good or really bad? Like, it's hard. And so I was trying to come up with a way to communicate this to those that are around me, and I came up with this thing called the attention energy unit because I recognize that in life, what we pay attention to is really how we ascribe value to something. Okay, so we can say that something is valuable but not pay any attention to it, and so then we really show that it's not valuable. Or we can say that something is valuable and then we spend, or something is not valuable and we spend a lot of time with it, and so our attention, the way that we spend our attention really describes, without you know with a lot of clarity, um, what we really care about. And and that's what I'm really interested in. I'm interested in finding out what we really care about, what we're really interested in, what humanity is really doing with our time. So I spend a lot of time in front of a screen, I spend a lot of time on the computer, I spend a lot of time on technology. I am a self-described nerd. I love learning. Just very interested in just like I become a sponge, and so learning about cryptocurrency, learning about electricity, learning about the metaverse, learning about just different things at different points. I've mastered you know a few different skills over the course of my life already, um, and I'm sure more will come with time. But the way that I spend my attention energy units, describes basically, you know, where I'm investing my time is how I think about it. And then I also think about, a return on my investment from investing my attention energy units. And so, um, you know, some people, might just be, looking at, cat videos on the internet. And so they become experts in cats. But, I don't know that maybe they get like a positive return on their investment because they get joy out of it in the short term. But then if it doesn't necessarily level up their life skills in the long run, then that might be detrimental. And so maybe a positive return on your investment is going to be the degree to which the return on your investment is going to benefit you and also allow you to help others in society. So, I also want to go into ultimately the idea of Metcalfe's law. And all of these, are things that are going to be conversation I'm going to be having in the future. But Metcalfe's law talks about network effects and how important those are. And I feel like there's a network effect in our own mind based on how we invest our attention energy units. So, what we invest our attention energy units into kind of build a network in our mind. And the more we invest it in a particular topic, the stronger our minds become in relation to that topic. And if we don't invest in a certain area in our mind, then our minds become weaker in that topic. So, for instance, for me, I've, invested a lot of attention in the area of math and, elementary math, maybe, arithmetic and algebra and, those types of like introductory mathematical ideas. And so I have a really strong, really solid understanding of those areas with regard to math. Likewise with swimming. I've, been swimming a long time. Um, so I've put a lot of attention, a lot of physical effort into that sport. And so I can speak about it, I can perform it. My body has a way of interacting with it. So I have a really strong mental model, in which I live and explore and experience reality in those areas. Now, let's consider the area of sexuality. That is an area that, has not been very well explored for me. It's been taboo, and I feel like for a lot of society, it's taboo to speak about sexuality. And so I feel I would describe my my mental model for sexuality as being kind of like a shack, and I describe it like a shack. It's just that's constantly getting blown down on like the shore of the ocean. It's like it's just kind of a shanty. There's not much there. So that's just an example of how like I haven't spent a lot of time investing in that area of my life, and so there's not much for me to speak of there about it. So yeah, that's the idea of attention energy units and how they kind of lead to internal mental models that are in alignment with Metcalfe's law. Now, Metcalfe's law goes into effect or has effect just in a general sense, um, wherever, whenever we're interacting with something. So, um, there is a formula for Metcalfe's law. So let's see here, Metcalfe's law. Let's see if it shows up. So Metcalfe's law, basically, it's something like this. So if you have two phones in a network, then you have one connection. But then if you have five phones in a network, then you have way more connections. So two telephones can make only one connection. 5 can make 10 connections and 12 can make 66 connections. So Metcalfe's law um, states that the value of a telecommunications network is proportional to the square of the number of connected nodes or users of the network. Um, First formulated by George Glider in 1993 and attributed to Robert Metcalfe in regard to Ethernet. Um, and the law was originally presented in 1980. So that's the thing there. Now you can go ahead and read about it. This is the equation that describes it, um, and maybe I guess I don't know. I'm gonna take a look at it right now, but yeah, I find that Metcalfe's law has a lot of application um, to these thoughts that I'm having. Um, you know, I think a lot about just the world at large, like the entire human population on this planet, and what we are doing and where we're going, and why it seems like we're in such ruts, like why it seems that some challenges are so intractable. Like, I used to be in the formal education structure, but I have an inside view on it, and there are things that I would like to change. I know that there are a lot of things that a lot of people would like to change, but why is it so hard to make these changes? It's because of Metcalfe's law in my mind, because there's such a strong network effect going that it kind of has an inertia to it. And so because of that inertia, it's hard for something else to come up against that system and gain traction. It's kind of like, Facebook. Facebook might not be the best social network out there. Like, for instance, like this, website, Spatial, I really enjoy it. I think it's going to do really well, but it's really young, it's really new. So it doesn't have the network effect yet that Facebook has, that Twitter has. And so because Facebook and Twitter have so many more people, then they're going to be dominant players in the field. YouTube is a dominant player in the field because it has Metcalfe's law working in its favor. So yeah, these are just some of the ideas I'm going to be exploring. I'll explore them in more detail. But I just wanted to, give you a heads up on some of the things I'm going to be talking about. And, as weeks go by, maybe I'll focus on this thing or that thing, more or less. But I'm going to put these out there and just see if, we can rethink some of these, situations that are going on in life and maybe come out better on the other side. So, some of the things I'm going to be talking about, I'm definitely going to be talking about cryptocurrency. I'll be talking about, NFTs. I'll be talking about the metaverse. I'll be talking about education, theology, philosophy, math, the importance of, physical education. So mind, body, physical, spiritual, financial health, the interaction of all these things. So, sacred geometry, something that I've been interested in. So there's nothing really that's, off, off limits, I guess, for me. So this is going to be a limitless conversation. And yeah, I hope that you come along for the ride. Look forward to speaking with you more. And, maybe we'll meet up sometime in either the metaverse or, in real life and go from there. So until next time, look forward to, speaking with you. If you have anything you'd like me to address, you can mention it in the comments section below. And until next time, just keep on rethinking, and we'll talk again another time. Bye bye for now.